Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of The Childe, a Korean thriller action flick from 2023 that was directed by Park Hoon-jung. I've already covered most of Park's movies on this channel, almost all of which I enjoyed. However, I was very disappointed with his last film, The Witch Part 2, the other one from 2022. It was a step down, I think, for sure. So I was understandably more critical going into The Childe. But the question is this: is it a bounce back for Park? Let's find out here. Now, our main character is a man named Marco, who resides in the Philippines. He's caring for his sick mother, while also participating in fights within illegal stadiums in the country. With a complex heritage as an offspring of a Korean father and a Filipino mother, Marco has tirelessly sought his estranged father's whereabouts. His sole motivation is to secure funding for his mother's crucial surgery, yet his relentless pursuit has yielded no results. Following a harrowing encounter with a gang that ultimately lands him in the hospital, a man suddenly emerges to represent his long-lost father, and seizing this opportunity, they hastily embark on a journey to South Korea that very night. However, Marco finds himself in an unsettling encounter with a mysterious individual who possesses an uncanny knowledge beyond what initially meets the eye. So if you're familiar with this director, who previously gave us stuff like New World, VIP, Night in Paradise, etc., it will be no surprise to you that the opening scene in this film is quite violent, and it involves criminals. Now, the young killer who is showcased early on is known as the Nobleman. All right. And he seems slightly eccentric and emotionally unstable at first, but he's not to be messed with. And then, after this opening scene, we cut to our protagonist who's boxing in the Philippines. He's struggling financially and actually agrees to help an obviously shady dude to rob a jewelry store. And the fact that he would agree to this situation proves how desperate he is for cash. And as you might expect, things do not go in his favor. And then soon after that, he heads over to South Korea. Now, one of the stronger elements of The Childe is that the script does a good job of setting up a few prominent side characters. So you have the dangerous nobleman from the opening scene, a different mysterious man who's looking over his dead father, and a potentially dangerous schoolgirl and her older accomplice. And these characters all talk in non-expository ways. You know how in some movies the dialogue will seem artificial because one character is talking to another character and they're explaining something that they both know. Like they're just talking about facts that both of them know already for the benefit of the viewer. And it always seems kind of weird. But in The Childe, it nicely avoids these odd types of conversations, and a lot of the dialogue feels natural, and so does the interaction. Also, it keeps the viewer in the dark as to everything that's happening behind the scenes, as well as all the character motivations. So during the first half of the movie, you're thinking to yourself, who are these people exactly, and what do they want with our young protagonist? It adds some intrigue, and the answers we eventually get are more interesting than what I expected. Now, there are some good non-action moments in this movie. In fact, the best thing about The Childe is this nobleman character, this hitman, that just pops in and out of the movie. And he's pretty creepy early on. He shows up, he does some violent acts, but at certain points he does not attempt to actually kill our main character. So you're really wondering what the heck's going on here. And early on in the film, I was amused by this hitman's eccentric behavior, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you watch the film. But by the end of this movie, he turns out to be the most interesting and multidimensional person of the whole bunch. It reached a point where I was actively rooting for the killer in this movie, because he has this weird likability to him. There were various points where I actually laughed out loud due to his dialogue and actions, the stuff that he's doing. And I have to give the actor a lot of credit too. Seon-ho, who I'm mostly unfamiliar with. but I'm an instant fan of this actor after seeing this movie. Like, if you're going to take one thing away from this review, I cannot overstate this. This dude is the highlight of the movie, and one of my favorite characters in this director's entire filmography. If I were to have some criticisms, one that pops out is like the actual main character, pretty thinly developed, not all that interesting, but it's still fun watching him attempt to survive the situation with so many deadly people involved. And that's actually kind of a minor gripe in this instance, because some of the side characters are way more fun to watch anyways, and they kind of balance out the character depth. Now, what about the action and thrills in this? Well, we do get a few lengthy foot chase sequences during the middle act especially. There are a few moments where maybe some of the jumps off of certain platforms and buildings might be considered a little bit unrealistic, because the characters don't get injured when in real life you probably would at least sprain an ankle jumping from that height. But for the most part, the action design is pretty grounded. There's actually a good car chase that uses mostly practical effects and stunts, with only a few bits of CGI that are not too distracting. And I was pretty happy with that scene, because some movies in recent years, including Korean films, have leaned a little bit too much into that CGI car chase nonsense, despite lacking the budget to make the effects work. So I was glad that they went a little bit more grounded with this. And then the finale, I really enjoyed it. It has some good shootouts. But like I said previously, it's really the nobleman character, the hitman, who elevates the excitement and fun of everything. Without him, I think this movie still would have been good, but with him, I think it's very good. So yes, I think The Child is a nice return to form for Park Hoon-jung. I strongly recommend this, and I will be adding this to my Blu-ray collection. This is a movie I could see myself rewatching on a regular basis. Well Go USA just recently released a Region A Blu-ray. It's also currently streaming on Amazon. So if you've seen this one, let me know what you think. I think this is kind of a crowd pleaser, and I think most people will enjoy it. And as always, I'll see you next time.